Now, love is in the air, Anne.
Well, I suppose Valentine's Day is coming up.
It is. Wednesday, in case you've forgotten, or you need to go and buy something, rapido.
Are you prepared?
Yes, I'm prepared.
Yeah. Right.
Fully prepared. Everything is sorted and organised.
Yeah, lovely.
So there we go. So...
And my boys are past the date when they want to get anything from their mum on Valentine's Day. You go through that when they're very little.
Yeah, that's always quite nice.
You can't do it when they're 30 plus.
You can.
They've got their own love lives. They don't even need me sending them a Valentine
With a
card.
question mark.
Yeah. God, no.
Yes,
they would hate that. Yeah.
Oh, it's really nice.
Would also cause a row or two, wouldn't it?
Well, it might
if you
do.
got a Valentine's card, if I sent you one with a question mark in it, wouldn't that cause a bit of a problem at home?
Yeah, it would, actually.
Yeah, because your other half would say, hang on a minute, who's
I once got... You know Nikki Chapman? From Pop Stars and all that stuff. She sent me a Valentine's card once.
Oh, that's nice.
Really cheeky, really rude one. Oh. And I had no idea who it was from, and she told me years later it was her.
Oh.
It's just causing a bit of trouble.
Yeah, she probably liked doing that.
No. Anyway, look, if you want to know about all things Valentine, what is true and what isn't, let's talk to Andrew Eborn with Fake or Fact. Good morning.
Hello, Kun Hei Fat Choi, Happy New Year, Year of the Dragon, the
is it?
fire-breathing dragon, fire of passion. And I thought, absolutely, we should talk about Valentine's.
Yeah.
Now, every time, Twitter goes crazy with Valentine's things, and all sorts of rumours start spreading again, most of which is about the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, which always gets quoted. It's the film with Jim Carrey and his character, exactly. And Joel, he says, today is a holiday invented by greeting card companies. So, is that fake or fact?
Ooh, I think that's fake.
I think that's fake because there was a Saint Valentine. Now, quite what he had to do with lovers, I don't know.
No, I don't.
Well, you're both right. I'll give you both a point for that. It is true, unfortunately, all the lovers within us and at home. And actually, it went all the way back to Lupercalia, is what it was the original fertility festival around this sort of time, from 13th to the 15th. So it's a pagan festival to start off. And the reason they picked this time of year, it's when the birds used to start mating. And so all the lovebirds, and Chaucer mentions about lovebirds and things like that. But actually, there were a number of saints, so a number of Valentines. It wasn't just one. There's about three of them. The one story I love, and we were talking about this earlier in the break, about growing up as a wonderful Catholic girl. I didn't, but I think you might have done.
Whether I was a wonderful Catholic girl.
What I loved about it, so what he was a Valentine in the 3rd century. He was a priest.
Yeah.
And he was at the time when Christians were being sort of sent everywhere. And what happened is the Roman emperor said, you can't get married if you're going to be in the army because it exhausts you if you're married.
All right.
And so
he probably had a point.
So what Valentine used to do, he used to marry them in secret until he was found out and he was thrown in jail. And whilst in jail, he fell in love with the jailer's wife. Or not the wife, the daughter, don't be even more scandalous. I fell in love with the daughter who was apparently blind, and he cured her blindness and that sort of thing. But the night before he was executed, he wrote her a lovely little note saying, from your Valentine. And that was the story. Isn't that glorious? And there's a picture of him and everything else. And you can find his skull. It's always a bit dramatic when they like these relics.
Yeah,
you can find his skull in Rome, and there's a little picture of that I think we've got somewhere as well. So it was, in fact, entirely true. There was a St. Valentine. We celebrate it today and things like that as well.
And he sent a lovely note to his
Isn't that lovely? And as I said, one from the heart, unrequited love, because he never obviously was in jail. He was decapitated and all that sort of thing, rather dramatic. Right, the earliest Valentine message in history dates back to 1415, the Battle of Agincourt. That's always a little thing that's sent around this sort of time. What do you think? Fake or fact? Battle of Agincourt, 1415, the first earliest Valentine message.
Fake.
Fake?
Fact.
Fact. Very interesting, because a lot of people would agree with Anne, because what they say, Charles, Duke of Orleans, it was the Battle of Agincourt, he was one of the royal family, and he was thrown into the Tower of London. And there's lots of pictures of him and so on and so forth, writing to his then-wife, Bonne of Armagnac. I like a good Armagnac, and so did he. Apparently he wrote a little love letter, and there's pictures of that. And there's even pictures in that sort of style. And people regurgitate it all of the time this time of year, including the fact-checking sites.
Oh, really?
And they all say, no, Anne's absolutely right, and things like that. I dug a bit deeper. You know, here on Andrew Eborn's Fake or Fact, I went along to the British Library, where they have the original manuscript of the poem that he wrote, and it's in French, Je suis déjà d'amour tanné, ma très douce Valentine. There we go. Now we can translate that, which basically says, I'm wearied by love, my very sweet Valentine. Right. So this was the letter, but it was actually written a long time after his wife died. So it wasn't written in the Tower of London. What they said at the British Library is that actually it was written when he went back to France, and it was actually an anti-Valentine, because he said he can't take part in what used to be the Valentine's Day lottery. And the lottery is basically you get paired up with people around Valentine's Day and you have to support them and things like that. Ooh. So he was actually an anti-Valentine. It wasn't the first Valentine. So Stephen is right, so he gets his point. He's leading this week.
Excellent.
Fantastic. The very first one, however...
Ignorant guess.
As well. It was... The very first one, which is still in existence, was from 1477. I think we've got a picture of that as well. And it was an intimate letter from two lovebirds, Marjorie Brews, and we've got a picture of that, I think, as well. Somewhere in the gallery. There we go. And you can read that. It's a little eye test for people at home. But that was the earliest one that's still in existence from 1477.
Because you said Valentine himself was in the 3rd century.
Yes.
4th century. And all those years later, all those centuries later, people are still sending Valentine.
Isn't that lovely? And Chaucer, as I say, he did it. You had in Shakespeare's time, Ophelia talks about my sweet Valentine, and so on and so forth.
Wow, what a legacy.
Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. First mass-produced one, however, here's the thing, mass-produced was not until 1849. Hundreds and hundreds of years later. Is that fake or fact?
I think that's fake, because I think it would be actually much later than that.
OK.
Because Christmas cards and things didn't come about till later than that.
No, you're right, absolutely, on Christmas cards. We've looked at that. Anne, what do you think?
No, I think that's a fact.
You think it's a fact? Well, Anne is absolutely right. It is a fact. And do you remember the person who it was? The first American lady was. Her name was Esther Howland. Here's a picture of her. This is Esther. She looks a bit... she looks John. But she was 19 when she received a Valentine's Day card.
She looks delighted.
She was so relieved.
Thrilled.
It was apparently one of her father's colleagues. Yes, quite. But she liked the idea so much that she came up with all these elaborate ones. And this is the first lace ones.
Lacy ones.
And they had, I think I sent a few pictures of those. Aren't they glorious?
They are beautiful.
And you have little messages and so on and so forth. And basically, she was called the mother of American Valentine. And this is way before Hallmark. Hallmark were not until 1910. She had all that sort of stuff, which was beautiful. Right, flowers. We've got time for flowers?
Oh, yes, we have.
So Valentine's Day flowers dates back to the 17th century. 17th century. Is that fake or fact?
Flowers.
I'm going fact.
OK.
I'll go fact as well.
Well, you're both right. Do you know what it's called? The language of flowers.
Oh.
No.
There's a special thing, isn't that? That's right. It's a bonus prize if you know what it is.
Language of flowers.
The language, I'll give it to you, it's floriography.
Floriography.
I know, anything with an ology, as Maureen Lipman would say.
No, she doesn't get a point for that.
I know, she does get a point. I got a point. You're right, so you did. Well, she was almost halfway there, because I like that. I like both of you. Floriography.
Not that I'm
and you can use flowers for saying different messages.
Yes, you can, because what they stand for. So if I wanted to say, I really don't like you...
Yes.
I could say it with a flower that says that.
Oh, absolutely. And Lady Mary Wortley Montague, lovely lady. Here's a picture of her. She was the one who said there is no colour, no flower, no weeds, no herb, pebble or feather that does not have a verse belonging to it. And what happened, this was sort of taken on, there's a picture of her, she came up with this language of flowers, and you can buy a book, if you want to, by the British botanist Henry Phillips, who talks about floral emblems and what they mean and everything else.
So if you give somebody forget-me-nots, or you give them lavender, or it can mean something other than I'm just giving you a flower.
Yeah. And interesting, if you give the flowers with the right hand, it means yes. If you give it with the left hand, it means no.
Oh, right, well, there you go. Who won?
Well, I can tell you this week, today's winner is Anne. Congratulations. Wonderful stuff. Roses all round.
Thank you very much indeed.